All right, Dan writes in, what's the most efficient, non-confrontational way to fire my financial advisor? I get this question a lot, man, a lot. And it's not something that I enjoy discussing because there are a lot of good financial advisors out there. I don't like the way they get paid. Doesn't mean they're bad guys. I just think there's a better way to be in this business, and I hope more and more do it. Certainly not paying a fee for assets under management. I don't like that at all. I don't think it's a good way to do business, frankly. But anyway, the problem that you have, Dan, is that you're a nice guy, and most people who hire financial advisors are trusting nice people, and as such, they just trust what they're getting, and that doesn't mean they have lost trust or lost faith. It just means they recognize there's not the value that they thought they might be getting, and or they see that there's no value what relative to the fees they're paying. But they also, because they're nice, they're like, I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings. I don't want to make him go to the poorhouse. I think what you got to do, I think you got to say, look, I did an audit of all my expenses, and yours is one of the top expenses I have. I just got to reduce expenses. I think we're going into a tough time with the economy, and I just got to watch the bottom line. I just changed out my incandescent light bulbs for LEDs. That's going to save me $600 a year in electricity. I don't know what you can say. I'm using Walmart toilet paper instead of freaking Charmin, whatever you want to say, but just say I got to reduce expenses. So if you got $500,000 and a guy's charging you 1%, you know how much that is, don't you? That's the equivalent of a Medicare with a supplemental policy each and every year. So you're saying, look, I'm going on Medicare. I can't afford $5,000 on top of the Medicare costs. I mean, literally, that's what you got to look at. You got to look at the fee relative to other things. $500,000 at 1% is $5,000 a year. So your Medicare for Part B, Part D, and the supplemental policy and out of pockets and copays is about $5,000 a year. Medicare, you get to see a doctor, right? You don't have to say this, but you're like, what am I getting from what you're doing? And then say, and on top of that, I also think there's going to be some significant market chaos, and I want to make sure I'm not paying extra fees when the markets are going down. It's funny, Fisher Investments, you see in the commercial, I hate this commercial. We do well when our clients do well. The implication, of course, would be we don't do well when our clients don't do well. So when our clients lose money, we lose money, but that's simply not the case. When our clients lose money, they do less well, but they're still doing well. So if they're making $5,000 a year on you when your portfolio is at $500,000, they're making $6,000 a year when your portfolio is at $600,000. They're still making $4,000 a year when your portfolio is at $400,000. So if you went from 5 to 6, yes, they did well because you did well. But when you go from 6 to 4, they still do well. They're still making $4,000. They're still getting a positive in the cash flow line. You're getting a negative. I don't know how that flies advertising standards. Like, we do well when our clients do well. Yeah, you also do relatively well when the clients do poorly, and yet somehow that's just overlooked. I just think you got to look at a line item cash flow. Say, look, I did a cash flow analysis, and you're one of my top 5 expenses. I've got to reduce expenses because retirement's here. I think the market's going to have some chaos, and I'm worried about the bottom line. But we make our money when the markets go south, is what they'll say. The market chaos is really when we earn our keep. You can say, well, you still made a lot of money on me when the markets are going up. Okay, so if you really earn your keep when the markets going south, well, I just look at my thing and I paid you $5,500 last year when the markets were going up. So, I mean, I didn't get a refund. If you really work hard when the markets go down, I didn't get a refund when the markets are going up. Obviously, that's kind of confrontational. But in the back of your mind, thinking about it like that, say, well, if you really earned your fee when the markets go down, how come you didn't give me a discount when the markets are going up? We all know at the end of the day, it's hard for an advisor charging 1% to beat the markets. That no one can debate that. It's not. I mean, they can debate it, but no one will be correct in trying to ascertain they can do better. It's impossible. And I've said a million times, the markets are a conglomeration of all of the investors out there. All the investors out there are the market. The average investor makes the market minus the fees. That's all there is to it. So you have the average investor making 8%. The average investment is 7%. Inherently, the average investor will make less than the average net of fees will make less than the market because the fees subtract away from the pure wealth of the average investor. It's all there is to it. And as such, the average investor is always going to underperform the average investment when you factor in fees. There's just no other way around that. So it's awful hard for a financial advisor to earn market-like returns when you're paying a fee. Now he'll argue, I earn market-like returns on a beta or Sharpe ratio, all this, well, maybe, but that's all speculation. We can't validate that going forward. As such, it's not worth the freaking papers. It's not worth the ink that the paper is written on, because we don't know that. There's no way to prove that. And as such, the way to simply reduce your expenses and to make market-like returns is to reduce the fees and fire your financial advisor. But you don't want to say it like that, because the financial, you'll get all self-righteous. I'm a fiduciary. What you say is, you say, I just got to cut my fees, man. I've got to cut my fees. That's what you do. Hope this helps. Thanks now.